Probably all of the above. So I've done the 1 day liver flush one time, and I didn't prep properly for that because I was new to it. So I'm looking forward to doing that again. But then I moved on to the 1 day colon cleanse, and I've done that a few times, with different results each time. I would say that the first time I did it, I couldn't believe the results that I was getting. For me, it was more of like a relief thing, as I was constipated and dealing with just a really stressful time at work and in life. And I just wasn't able to go to the bathroom normally. And so this was something that I wanted to try to see if, I could incorporate it into my routine, whether it'd be like for maintenance, quarterly or whatever I decide to do going forward. Um, because I'm not yet where I need to be, but just kind of making my way. So I think for me, the like initial response, or I guess results, were just relief that I was actually able to kind of get back on track. And that was just like a huge mental relief for me. Just, always thinking about how am I going to feel better and what do I need to do to, just basically, undergo normal bodily functions and processes that I wasn't able to, on my own, I guess, complete. So I would say that all of the above. I just felt so much better, and then my mental state improved, so I had more energy, and it wasn't like I had so much energy that I could like climb a mountain or like run very far or anything, but I just had like a different outlook. It just kind of gave me some hope, I would say.
Totally.
Yeah, I really was like, well, no wonder why my colon's obstructed, because all of this plaque, and to see what actually comes out of your body over like just the years of misuse and mistreating, and our daily lives living in this toxic world, we're mistreating our bodies. We're not even trying to. We just are. It's just modern living. So it was really interesting to see. And then the other thing I noticed is throughout each time, I think I've done the colon cleanse like 3 or 4 or 5 times. And I've noticed that I get colonics regularly, and I've noticed that way more biofilm and mucus comes out. And so I know that that has something to do with it. I also take herbs, but I know that together they're working very hard in busting all of that plaque and biofilm. And I think in like as a result of that, right now where I'm at in my healing journey, it's really helped like my day to day. So like I know I can manage my constipation much easier, and I can almost rely on the fact that I will be able to go to the bathroom every day. I know it's TMI, but like
Flowing through me. Was there like a specific point in like when you first did your first cleanse that you had that like aha moment?
yes, yeah. So when I did the 1 day liver, I just remember. I will actually preface that both times I did the intestinal unforgive, the first time on each, I couldn't get through the whole thing because I just was like, I need a break. Like I just couldn't get through the whole entire cleanse. So I ended up finishing the forgive the next morning. But I remember in the middle of the night, I was up and I was not feeling well at all. And I just said to myself, because I like to try everything and just kind of see what works for me, because you just never know when you're going to meet that breakthrough product, or meet that, have these like epiphanies in your mind with whatever you're doing with your routine. You just don't know, so you have to try everything. And I just remember in the middle of the night, I was just like, never again will I do this. And then lo and behold, the next morning I woke up, and I just remember feeling like totally different. Like I felt so good. I just felt like I actually did cleanse a lot. Not even that much came out with the forgive, but it was just that things were moving, and it was kind of like a jump start to like my organs. I feel like they remembered too, like this is what we should be feeling like. I will say it didn't last long, as it normally doesn't, because further cleansing needs to happen. But I do remember when I woke up the next morning, I was like, oh, I will definitely do this again, because I had that sense of like relief. And I just remember my mind was clear. My stomach didn't hurt. Like I just felt so much better, especially like from the day before.
things like that, how would you say you sat with that feeling of just being empty, but also being full at the same time because you're being nourished by the enzymes?
Yes. So I would say that it's so true what you say about like filling that void of like you're empty, so you feel like you have to like binge something, whether it's food or like you said, media or whatever it is. So that was a very unique feeling that I wasn't expecting, but that definitely did come up. I would say that I because of the hope that it gave me, it made me less susceptible to binge those things. So for me, it was like you kind of get in a state of hopelessness, at least I do sometimes, where if I'm backed up and I can't use the bathroom, or if I'm just having a really stressful week, like I'll hold on really tight. And so that's kind of why, like, I've realized after all these years, like that's sort of my problem, like underlying issue, um, with, kind of like my body shutting down. But I will say that because of the hope that I got and because of the relief of the releases I was having, it made me less susceptible to binge because I was like, okay, cool. Like I actually have like a step to like the next thing I'm going to do. Like this gave me hope. And because of the energy that I gained and the mental clarity, it made me really understand that I can keep going and I can do it. It was like just a glimmer of hope. Yeah, I
It's
mean, the way that I see it as well is like whatever I'm currently doing in my routine in my daily life, like is clearly not working for me physically or mentally. And so every time I do find myself like backed up again or, just feeling uncomfortable, like feeling more full for no reason, like if I'm not even really eating that, like as much as I normally would have been to feel that full, like I just go back to like, well, what's going on right now in my life and how can I mitigate the stress? Because, life isn't perfect and there's always going to be stressful times. But at the same time, if your routine is consistently going against, your mind and your body, then you have to make a big change. And so I'm working on that as well. But for right now, being kind of, I guess, stuck in a situation, like I'm really just trying to do my best. And I don't know what you feel about this, but I'm curious. I always have an intestinal cleanse on hand, just like in my pantry. Um, and sometimes, not often, but sometimes if I'm just feeling like I'm about to get constipated, because I can tell now, so I'm really in tune with my body, I will just before bed, I'll just do one packet of the enzymes to kind of just get myself back. So I don't necessarily have to use the whole thing because, they're precious, as we know, these enzymes. So it's kind of a way to like stretch it out a little bit further for me. And then like the next time I do the cleanse, I'll just be like one or two short, which has worked for me just fine. Do you find it? I mean, like I said, I get regular colonics. So for me, like I always want to just keep everything moving until I can figure out like how to manage the root cause. So that's really actually helped me a lot. And I was just gonna say, like, at first, if I can't commit, like like for me, it's the focus, and of course, it's the time as well. But for me, it's like I really need to get the focus behind it because for me, I need to pay attention to what I'm doing. I need to feel it. I need to pay attention how it's working throughout the day. Like the first time I did the intestinal, I couldn't get through half of it, and I just remember now I know how far I've come because I can do the whole thing and I have different experiences, but it's just so interesting to kind of mix and match the products to kind of see. And it's easier to be more in tune with how it's working. Like there's sometimes I can take just the enzymes at night, like just one packet. And there's other times where I know I need to add the detox S. So like it just depends on what's going on. I've been on a pretty good streak lately, actually. So I still have an intact extra one in my pantry for, the holidays are right around the corner. Who knows what's going to happen? So I've been on a pretty good streak, but I always have to have my reserve and just mental like peace of mind.
What would you say changed the most for you physically? Like not even just like right after the cleanse, but like longer term after your experiences?
I would say that it's been a long time. It's been several years since I've felt like I was firing on all cylinders. And so for me, the biggest physical change is knowing, like being reminded mentally and physically of how I'm supposed to feel, how my body's supposed to function. And like, if and when I get to the point of, being able to, my body being able to function on its own without me having to pay attention so much and facilitate so many things and really pay attention to what I'm doing. Like, how I was before, that I started not feeling well. That to me is the greatest reminder of like how we're supposed to feel and how we're supposed to function. So I think it all goes back to like the glimmer of hope, because when you're not feeling well and you can't go to the bathroom, and because you can't go to the bathroom, you can't eat, but you want to eat because you're hungry, you should. So you do, but then it makes it worse. And then you can't sleep. Like, it's really bad. It can get really bad for some people. And I always considered myself, educated in nutrition and fitness and all kinds of things. I always lived a healthy lifestyle, and you can still get sick and you can still not feel well, based on lifestyle choices, our modern world that we're up against, just chemicals, toxins, you name it, you know the drill. So I think it all comes back to like, I guess, using these cleanses as a stepping stone to where I'm going to end up. And each one gets me closer to better health. And I'm not rushing the process at all, but each time I do it, I know I'm getting closer. And even though it might not be a perfect cleanse each time, like, I know that the effects are lasting much longer, because I've done an intestinal cleanse on a Monday before, like all day Monday. And then I've gotten a colonic on a Saturday, and I still was releasing that like mucoid plaque, like that sticky, like basically what the drink looks like, you know what I'm talking about. And so it just goes to show you that like sometimes you just need, that extra rinse or that extra cleanse. Like, it was in my body for a week, and if I didn't get that colonic, you don't know, like, is it going to stay in there to the next one? It's just, you don't know. And eventually it'll break down because they're enzymes, but like, it just goes to show you how important it is, like the follow-up, the prep, everything really matters. And there's no wrong way to do it, but there are definitely tips and things that people should be doing to prep and the aftercare, I would say, in my opinion. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that it could probably be a little intimidating or scary for the first time for somebody, knowing that you might feel worse during, because you haven't been to the other side yet. So I feel like even though you may feel worse in the short term, no one really nowadays, unless you've been cleansing for a long time and doing it appropriately and systematically, no one really knows how good it feels to feel like we're supposed to. So even though you may feel worse during it, we're so used to feeling crummy that to feel even worse is scary, but it's indicative of what's going on inside, like you just said.
Cleansing journey.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it's a very unique way of cleansing, and the fact that it works so well and it's so scientifically backed. I mean, that's not common. We're used to like juice fasts and water fasts and whatever else, Whole30. Like, we're used to those kinds of things. And although those can help because you're not drinking alcohol or eating sugar or whatever it is, it's just not all the way there yet. And quite honestly, like, in my opinion, it's a good practice to get into that sort of like mental state of like, okay, I have to withhold on these foods for a little while, in order to kind of reset. Like, to me, I don't bash any types of cleanses because everyone's on a different plane. But like you were saying, like, I was doing those and they were working in the beginning, but then as you become chronically ill, it's just not good enough. They just don't help enough. They don't go as deep as these enzymes do. And so, it's our job to get the education and acknowledgement out about why this is different, why this works better. And to your point, like, if I had known about these enzymes 10 years ago, then what would that look like for my healing journey that I can bestow upon somebody else who's just starting their cleansing journey? Like, I would say it would shave off decades. I mean, this, but you could even do like a water enema, like just anything. You can even do like a saline, like anything to help yourself along. And normally if you're cleansing, if you've made it to this group, this Telegram or this product, or you've heard of it and you're interested, you most likely are having issues of some kind. So to think that you'd be able to just kind of go through the cleanse normally without, helping yourself release in some way, whether it's going for a walk and you normally wouldn't, or doing a coffee enema or a water enema or whatever it may be, I would say that it's a hard lesson to learn, but it's a quick one. Cause I mean, right away, like if you're not releasing, then you're going to need some assistance of some kind. So it's our job to, like you said, coach people through it and guide people through it. Like I'm a certified colon hydrotherapist, so I'm obviously biased, but it's because I know how important it is to get out what's been stuck in your colon, and that's just the bottom line, really. I mean, once I learned a couple of years ago that what you get out is more, if just as important, or maybe not even more than what you put in, that really changed the game for me, because I did not understand that concept at all.
I was like, what? What would you say? Would you say that that's like accurate, or
I'm trying to go off my own experience.
Gravity. She does gravity colonics. So
okay, I do pressure right now. I've done both, but right now I'm practicing on pressure. I would, oh God, I mean, it's kind of like a crapshoot, honestly, but I would say from my own experience, I mean, I think 10 is a safe number, but the magnitude of 10 colonics is so large that I'm not saying it lightly, like, oh, 10, like 10 colonics is a lot. It's a lot of waste. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of movement. It's a lot of everything. And not to mention in real time, if you're getting 10 colonics, I mean, the fastest you could probably do that would be within like 6 weeks, so time is of the essence, with these cleanses as well. Like, the intestinal cleanse, that one time that I also released the mucoid plaque, I was in disbelief. I was just staring in the toilet, like, I just couldn't even, I was just so in shock. So like the equivalent, and that was just one release. So that I would even equate to like 3 colonics. You know what I mean? Like if we really wanted to distill it down. Colonics are like working out. Everyone's different. Everyone's body requires a different frequency and things like that. But I mean, if you're going twice a week, if you're doing 10, that's a month and a half. So
it's a journey.
I was just going to say, for me personally, having my hand in a lot of detox modalities and whatever, the enzymes have been like, I don't want to say that they've been the missing piece of the puzzle, because I say that about colonics, but they really have been, because to me, colonics and enzymes are like an unbeatable combination, especially if you're constipated, because I know not everyone's constipated doing these cleanses, but if you are, that's just like 1 and 2, like those are the first 2 things that I would, obviously, with proper prep and, education around it. But knowing what I know now, looking back, I'm like, I had no idea about either of these. And to me, it's really been an amazing source of detox. And also, like I said, even though each experience is different, same thing with each colonic that I get done. It's just getting me so much closer to the end zone. And even if I have to go yard by yard, like I'm willing to do it, because I know I'm making progress of some sort, even though it's very time consuming and a lot of effort. To me, there's no better feeling than knowing I'm at least headed in the right direction. Yeah, I totally agree. It's for me, I've noticed that it's more of explaining why they're so powerful and why they work so well. And because it's that piece of education that we don't have. And, I can speak from the heart and say that I'm somebody who's always been interested in nutrition and being healthy and detox and all these things for years, since I was a kid. And even I didn't know. So the average person walking around who doesn't really pay attention, who may not have to as much of how they're feeling, or because, they're well and they're able to exercise and eat fine and go to the bathroom and sleep. And they're not paying attention because they haven't had to. But if you're approaching somebody, green off the street, they don't understand, because to them, it's just like, oh, it's like a sticker shock. But in reality, it's like, would you rather buy an electric toothbrush that's more expensive to remove all the plaque that you haven't brushed your teeth in 2 years? Or would you rather get like a regular toothbrush that's not really going to help. And it's going to, in the meantime, your teeth are going to decay more and more. So it's like, it's that type of explanation of like, yeah, well, I go to the bathroom fine. Why do I need enzymes or colonics? And it's like, well, because it's the deeper cleansing that you're not getting from your everyday life. How could you? It's impossible.
Those changes.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's perfect. Like that's always what I tell my clients is like, just do your best. But like, if you're aware of what you're doing, you're going to be able to fix it easier going forward. You don't have to, it's not perfection that you're striving for. It's just a little bit of progress, and then it accumulates, and then you gain momentum. And the next thing you know, you've created a new healthy habit, and you don't even think about, binging chocolate at night or whatever it is, that people do. And it's like just little by little, slow and steady wins the race. I'm sorry, but it does.
Overdid the chocolate for like 7 months when I worked there. So now that I'm not working there, I have to like tone my chocolate down because now I have to actually go buy the chocolate. Whereas when I worked there, I didn't have to buy the chocolate. So now it's like, but I enjoyed it. It's so funny. It's like,
yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Everyone's so different. Like we're all bio individuals. So we all have different weaknesses and strengths. And it's just really finding out what works for you. Like if I want ice cream at night, of course it has to be gluten-free and dairy-free, the drill. But if I want something sweet at night, then I'll just make sure that, I'm on point during the day and I've gone for a walk or something. Like I'm no longer trying to be perfect because going through being chronically ill for so long and not knowing, but knowing something was off. You eliminate as much as you can. That's bad because you think it's going to help, but you're not really targeting the root cause because you don't know what it is. And so you're just like, I've eliminated so many food groups since I started feeling crummy, and it just doesn't, it helps temporarily, but it doesn't actually solve anything. So then it's like you're spinning your wheels and then you get exhausted by it and then you binge, and I'm done with that. Like I'm just trying to do my best every day, make conscious decisions. I'm not going to be perfect. Like, one day I'll have a really nice, like a smoothie for breakfast or, a nice Whole Foods breakfast. And the next day, maybe I have like, gluten-free muffin with some peanut butter or something. Like I'm not trying to be perfect because that doesn't work for me. I'm curious, after the intestinal cleanse, when you ate meat, the same thing happened to me. And I concluded that because I actually felt good for the first time in so long, I was actually hungry for meat. Like I was craving it. And same thing happened. It backfired as well for me too. But I had that thought, like I had like a new connection in my brain of like, okay, so if I can maintain that feeling, doing X, Y, and Z, then I'm going to be able to eat meat normally, exercise better. But right now, even though my body's craving it, it's not necessarily the best thing to eat after, but it was a good lesson and a new connection in my brain that like, once you are clear and once, your pipes are clean, I love meat. And so you will be able to, but maybe not just like right now. So even though you're craving it, I normally don't suppress my cravings, but in that instance, I would going forward because I know that it wouldn't be a positive addition, like as the aftercare of like the cleanse. Absolutely. I know. I think for me, the winning formula for flying is colonics and enemas beforehand to prep, and then fasting when I'm on the plane, and then trying to fast as long as I can after the plane, and then just hydrate like crazy. But also I've been bringing my enema bag with me, and I'll just do like filter. I'll go get like filtered water and put it in, and that usually helps. I actually forgot it on the most recent trip I went on. It wasn't good, but that's helped me a lot. Just kind of have it with you. Tried fasts, even though each one alone doesn't work together, the fasting and the hydration along with the water enemas have helped a lot for me.
Just curious, like what do you do to create a better self and a better world?
I'm doing exactly what you just said. So I'm working on myself one thing at a time. I do work full time, so I've been trying to appropriately add into my life where I can. I'm getting better. I feel like I've learned so much, and at this point, it's like all in my brain. So I'm like really looking forward to like the holidays, so I can have some time off to actually capitalize on some of these things. Like I already have everything ready in my fridge. I'm been prepping with my grapefruit juice. Like I have it all down, but I'm not quite there yet. So for me, exactly what you said about paying it forward to others, like I need to get my system down So it's like clockwork for me when I'm doing these cleanses. Like I'm going through them, I'm going through the motions, and I'm still feeling and working through everything, but I don't have to pay so much attention to the instructions or like, all the supplies that I need or whatever it may be. Like it's more of like, okay, I've done this a million times. I know what to do. Like, yes, I might have different emotional experiences and that requires attention and focus, but it's not like every step because I'm very new at this. So not that every step of the way is I have to like use a lot of brain power. So I'm working on kind of fine tuning my own system and just getting more confident with all the products, being able to speak to them. And I really have a long way to go myself. So it's more of like I'm a work in progress. And like you said, once I feel like I'm able to, like that I don't need as much support personally from my own cleansing, then I will be able to help others. But it's all a work in progress. I'm working toward that is the long game. So I would say right now, my main focus is just to really get acquainted with the products, really understand what's happening into my body. And, for me personally, I'm not able to cleanse without getting colonics or doing like enemas at home. And so that's like an added layer that I have to make sure I'm incorporating. And so it is a lot of work. It's 1,000,000% worth it, but I kind of need to get my ducks in a row before I can really move on to helping others. But I have talked about the products and I have introduced many people to them, like friends and family, before I became an affiliate. And so I'm working toward that in the long game, but I really do have a long way to go personally and professionally as far as like the products and things like that. So, but I'm excited.
You're doing a great